Welcome back, Chapter Chasers. Today we welcome the infamous Larry Formato to For Love of Memoir. From pauper to Wall Street insider and whistleblower who navigated a world of organized crime, penny stocks, and power. In dangerous ways, Larry takes us inside the risky dance between poverty and extreme wealth, where every move was calculated and every risk carried stakes. It's a story of survival, accountability, and the hard truth of confronting the mess that you helped to create. But Larry didn't just walk away. He turned the spotlight back on himself and changed the market in the process. Today we'll explore the turning points that transformed a life built on secrets, the moral cost of power, and how you reckon with your past when it's written in public record. You're in for a treat as we welcome Larry Formato. Hi, Larry. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thanks. Are you calling in from Florida today? Is that a pool I see in the background?
Beautiful paradise. Yes, Florida.
Absolutely gorgeous. I see you got a little bit of a breeze. I'm a little bit jealous.
Yeah, it's
You're
been,
giving me vacation vibes.
yeah, hey, come on down. Let's go.
So, we are here today to talk about your book, Dangerous Ways, which is an absolutely incredible story. You've had quite a wild life, my friend.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, a little bit. So, for those who are not familiar with the book or the story at all, how about you just give us a little bit of background? What's it about?
Well, it's about my early life, so it takes you back from when I was a child, um, growing up poor. I had no money. My father worked in a wire factory, and my mother worked for WT Grants, and they pretty much worked just to support the four kids. I'm the youngest of four, and in school, I'd never really liked school very much. By the time I got to high school, I knew I didn't want to do this anymore. Um, and I was more interested in cars. I got a job in an auto body shop. We had some teachers that decided that I'm better off working than being in school full time. So I did part time work, part time school. I don't know. Make a long story short, I did get a high school diploma. I made a deal with my history teacher. I was supposed to go to summer school, and I went to General Motors Training Center instead. And I painted his car, so he said I was there. So that was that. Um, I opened an auto body shop when I was young, and one day this fellow came in that I went to high school with, and he was probably more of a goof off than I was. It was close, but he was driving a Porsche. And I said to him, man, where did you steal this car from? And he said, no, it's my car. I said, get the hell out of That's not your car, man. No, he said, it's my car. I said, well, what do you do? He said, I'm a stockbroker. I didn't know what a stockbroker was. I don't even know what stocks are. I said, where do you work? He said, I work in Hackensack, New Jersey. I said, and this is really your car, right? And he said, oh, yeah, it's my car. I said, can you take me, show me where you work? He said, yeah, of course, I'll take you. So, he thought because I owned this auto body shop that I had a lot of money. I had no money. I was totally broke. I'm about to go out of business. So we jumped in his Porsche, and I was in dirty clothes, paint pants on, and filthy dirty. And we pull up to this brokerage firm in Hackensack, New Jersey, and we go inside, and there's rows and rows of desks with all these guys with suits on and ties, and some guys are on the phones, other guys are playing with their nails, and I'm still trying to figure out what a stockbroker is. I said, but I really want to meet your boss. And so he said, okay, yeah, I'll let you meet my boss. In his mind, he's thinking I'm going to be an investor. In my mind, I'm thinking I need to know what this guy is doing. There's a scam here somewhere. He's not too smart. So I go in, I meet his boss. The boss was John Engel, and I said to John Engel straight up, I said, listen, John, I said, first of all, is that really his car? Oh, yeah, that's his car. They all have cars like that. I said, really? Yeah. I said, well, this is what I got to say. Whatever he's doing to get that car, I can do it much, much better. Fire him and hire me. And John laughed. Ray Dober, he got a little upset about that, but I didn't care. I mean, I wanted to
We're
do what he.
hungry for it. Yeah.
Anyway, John gave me a chance. He said, "Well, you got to pass the test." didn't pass high school. Anyway, long story short, my cousin, who was a pretty much a connected guy,
Hmm.
can use that word. I went to him and I said, "Listen, I got to take this test. It's called a Series 7 test. It's given by the government, and I know I'm not going to pass it." So he had connections. He got the test. There was 3 copies. So I got the test, all 3 copies, and my mother and I would sit there, and she would read me these questions, and I would memorize the answers.
Yeah.
And so I passed the Series 7 exam. During that time, um, I'm seeing these guys all making money, and I'm not making anything. I didn't have any money. I didn't have a car.
Mm.
I didn't have any clothes. In fact, I had to wear my father's suit and his shoes and his tie. And I hitchhiked from Caldwell, New Jersey to Hackensack, New Jersey every single day. So I did that 7 days a week, and I did it for 6 straight months. I would get to the office at 8 o'clock in the morning and stay till 11 o'clock at night, where people would hang up the phones when they were tired of hearing me calling them. And so after 6 months, I got called into John Engel's office, and I'm thinking, oh God, I'm gonna get fired. They're on to me. They know I'm not the guy. So he said, I just got to ask you. He said, how do you get here every day? I said, all right, I'm going to tell you, I hitchhike here. That's how I get here every day. That's how I get home. He said, you don't go out to lunch? I said, no, because I don't have any money to go to lunch. I said, I know all these guys have to have big money and big cars and all that. I don't have it. He said, okay. He said, go back to your desk. Wait for me. I'll be out in a little while. So I walked out with my head down, thinking I'm getting fired because you have to have a certain stigma to be a stockbroker. And I had none of that. John took me for a ride. And then we went and he bought me suits and ties and shirts and shoes and just a whole wardrobe. And I'm telling him, John, I can't pay you back. I have no money. I can't pay you. He said, don't worry about it. Just, I want you to have some really nice clothes. And I'm really worried about this because I couldn't pay the guy. And then we go and I carry all the stuff to the car. We get in the car and we drive to a car lot. He said, come on, take a look at this. We go and he shows me his car. It's a Cadillac.
Hmm.
I said, man, that's a nice car. Did you get that for yourself? He said, no, I got it for you. I said, come on, John. He said, no, that's your car. Get in it and drive it home. No, in fact, drive it to the office, beep the horn when you get there, and wave to all the guys and then go in. I said, what's going on? He said, just do it. So I get to the office, walk inside. I got the keys. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So I go back to John's office with John, and John says, I got one more thing for you. I said, what's that? He said, a check for $250,000. You opened up more new accounts than anyone in the whole country. No one has opened up more accounts than you. You worked your ass off. You deserve it. And we're going into New York to go see the boss. Well, I was floored. And from that day on, that story took a little time to get to. But from that day on, I never looked back. And I just started making, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, which turned into millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Mm.
That's the beginning of my story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Which turned into
dangerous ways.
dangerous ways, right?
It absolutely did. I started out at Mayflower Securities,
Yeah.
and I went to First Jersey Securities with Bob Brennan, who was the president at the time. I liked Bob. He was a smart guy, young guy, and he really knew how to take care of his salespeople, and he was a good guy, pretty wealthy guy, and I looked up to him. And but one day I got a notice from him that he wanted to send me and all the top salespeople to the Bahamas on a trip, and we could bring our wives. Okay, so I go, and there, I meet all the top salesmen, and everybody wants to meet me. I still, it didn't affect me yet that I was like the best out of everyone. I had more accounts. I was a one-man brokerage firm. I had more accounts than the firm had. So I was I was pretty much at the top of my game back then, and I was
Yeah.
still going to the office early in the morning and staying late at night. One of the brokers, Bart Byrne, asked me if I would open up a new brokerage firm with him. I said, "Man, I'm really happy where I'm at. I'm
Mhm.
making good money. I really don't want to do that." He said, come on, man, let's do this together. Anyway, he talks me into it. So I leave Brennan and we open up a brokerage firm together, which is my very first brokerage firm. I think I'm probably 22 years old at the time. Now I own my own brokerage firm. I got a few million bucks. I'm doing pretty good. And my my wife at the time was getting sick, and for reasons that are probably really not good reasons for her. But for me,
Mm,
I had to leave the brokerage business.
mm,
We had 3 kids at the time. Uh, I couldn't stay. I had to take care of the kids.
yeah.
It got to a point where I had to send my son to West Virginia, and the other kids, my daughter stayed with me, and the youngest one went with my uncle. And I was out of the business. I was done. And at some point in time, um, she got a little bit better, and things got a little bit better. I brought the kids back. I thought it was going to work out for us, but it didn't. I had another phone call. I don't know how all these people found me because we didn't have cell phones then, you know.
Right.
And I moved a couple times, but they found me. And there was another broker that I met on this trip with Brennan, and he said, "Man, we're going to open up a brokerage firm, and we want you to be our partner." And I'm thinking, I don't know. And at that time, things were pretty bad for me. I was disgusted. I was drinking. I was out shooting pool, hustling pool at night. I was like a different man. And my mom was living in an apartment, and I moved in with her. And the kid upstairs, who became my stepbrother, but at the time was my friend, he was only 17. He said, "Larry, man, what's wrong with you? You're a bum." He said, "You had all this money, and now you just go out drinking and you just lay around. You do nothing. When are you going to do something?" And he was right. I turned into a bum. And so when they called and said, "Let's go into the brokerage business again," I said, "Yeah, man, I'm ready." And so that's what we did. And it was me and 2 other guys, and we opened up a brokerage firm,
Oh,
A.O. Williamson and Company. And from there, you know, um, we went on and on and on and on to the next one, on to the next one. So by the time I was 24 years old, I owned a few brokerage firms. I had a seat on the New York Stock Exchange, and I was pretty happy. And so I left those guys. I left A.O. Williamson. I opened my own firm, just me. I was Royer Securities. And one day I'm in my office, and this guy comes in, right? This big guy. He said, "My name's Big Jim." Okay, well, you're big at figures, right? Big Jim says, "You owe me some money." I said, "I don't even know you. How do I owe you money?" Well, I said, "Well, you did this deal, Buckman Electronics with Don Messenger, and Don and Johnny Formacola was supposed to pay me this money. I never got it, so you're going to pay it." I said, "I don't think so." He said, "Oh, yeah, you'll pay it. I'm going to be back in a few days, and you're going to pay it. There's going to be some bad things that are going to happen to you." So he left. And I instantly called Big John Formato, my cousin who was connected. I said, "Man, I got a problem." I said, "I need to see you." And so he came and I told him the whole story. He said, "No problem, my man. Let's go. We're going to go somewhere. And I'll pick you up in the morning and we'll go." I said, "Okay." So he takes me to Orange, New Jersey. And we go to a dry cleaners. And what the hell's that? A dry cleaners, right? So we walk in and we go behind the counter, and there's this guy behind the counter. He's got red hair, blazing red hair, and I describe him like a guy with I call it a coffee cake face. He had all these potholes on his
hmm.
face. Man, he was dangerous looking, to say the least. And it was Red Cesare, and Red was a big time mobster. And he said, he got mad at John for even bringing me there at first, I thought, but he was just messing around with John. So he said to me, "What's your problem, kid?" I told him, I said, "I got this guy, Big Jim, who says I owe him all this money, 20 grand, I think it was, which was a lot of money back then."
Hmm.
And he said, "Well, do you owe to him?" I said, "No, I don't even know the guy." He said, "Okay, well, this is what you're going to do." Can we curse?
Yes, absolutely.
He said, "This is what you're going to do. If this guy comes back and he asks you for the money, you say it just like this. You say, I'm not giving you your money, and I got a message for you. And Big Jim said to me, what's your message? I said, go fuck yourself. And Red said to tell you that. So with that, the wise guy world is kind of small. People know people, people talk to people. So with that, Big Jim left. And then he did his little research and he found out who Red was. And then he found out that I was with Red. And that was the end of Big Jim. I never heard from him again. So that was my first introduction into the wise guy world. And the rest is pretty interesting. Read the book, Dangerous World.
And off you went, right?
And off I went, yes.
So, what made you decide on memoir as your vehicle for telling your story?
Well, when I went to Congress, 1989, I went to Congress. Um, no one knew what I had said to Congress. They didn't have the computers that we have now, and everything is online. You can find out anything online today. But back
Mm,
then, you didn't find out anything. So people were really, really scared and worried about what I had to say to Congress and who I said it about. And I was with the wise guys by then, and
mm.
they were pretty concerned. So no one really knew whether or not I ratted or I didn't rat or what the story was. And I decided I wanted to set the record straight.
Mm.
So I decided to write a book. It took me about a year to write. And in the book, I took the my congressional testimony from the Library of Congress, word for word, unedited, and I added it to the book. And
Smart.
and anyone that wants to read it will know that I never mentioned one single name to Congress.
Mm.
Not one wise guy was mentioned. Of course, I said I was with people.
Sure.
I was connected. I'm the guy that brought um, organized crime into the penny stock market, which was why I was at Congress to begin with.
Hmm.
No one ever did it before me. And we made millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars together.
Yeah.
And Congress wanted to know how to put an end to all of that. I left Congress thinking that everything I said just went, one ear out the other. They're
Mm.
not they're not going to do a damn thing about it. And much to my surprise, everything that I told them to do was incorporated into law. And because of my direct testimony, they passed the Penny Stock Reform Act of 1990, and all those laws that they put into action were recommendations that I gave them. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. At
How absolutely fascinating.
at the time, I wasn't very happy because the deal I had, they were supposed to not disclose my identity.
Yeah.
No photographers, my name wasn't to be mentioned, none of it. So
Yeah.
no one was going to know who was talking to Congress to tell them how to change all of this.
Hmm.
Um, so when we got there, I was still in jail, and this wasn't a get out of jail free card, by the way. I got absolutely nothing for,
Right.
for going to Congress, absolutely nothing, but a lot of heartache in the beginning. So when we got there, and I get out of this van with these U.S. Marshals, this guy puts a hood over my head. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "There's photographers here, and we can't let anybody see your face. That's the deal. And I'll just walk you in. I'll take it off once you're inside." So they got this very famous picture of me with a hood over my head walking into Congress. And that night on TV, on CNN, on all over the news, was Larry Formato, a picture of me with a hood on and a picture of me without the hood. And it says, Formato delivers a blistering indictment against the penny stock market and organized crime.
Oh
So
no.
everyone ran for the hills, everyone. So yeah, so that was my reward for trying to do something good.
For trying to do the right thing. Out of curiosity, what made you decide to testify to Congress?
So Mike Cahill was the FBI agent who arrested me.
Hmm.
One day came in to see me while I was in jail, and he had a box of cassette tapes of when my phones were all tapped. They had all my phones tapped.
Mm.
My case was the first case in history where they could get a wiretap in a securities fraud case. Now they can do it for anything because of the new laws since 9/11. But back then, you had to be able to, that had to be the only way you could get proof uh, against someone. And there was, that's the only way you could get a wiretap. But in the securities industry, you, the, you could get proof anyway because everything is a paper trail.
Yep.
Everything is a paper trail. So, but what they did is this guy that ratted on me, my best friend, who ratted me out, told this big lie that I was running guns from Florida to New Jersey. What gun? I don't run guns. I run stocks. So, but that was his lie, and that's how they got the wiretaps. That's how they were able to secure a wiretap. Had I known that at the time, um, I would have fought it, uh, and I would never have gone to jail because those wiretaps were illegal. I didn't know it, so they hit it.
They
Government
got you.
government
They
could be
got you
ruthless.
on a big old lie.
Yeah,
Oh
they got me on a
my
big lie.
goodness.
That's how they got me. Yeah. So anyway,
So,
he brought me these tapes. I'll finish up
yeah,
quickly. You said what made me do it.
yeah.
I'm listening to all these tapes. There was 5,000 of them. And I'm listening to every one of them. And the guy that I'm listening to, this Larry Formato, was a real jerk, man. He was a. If I were to meet him, I just wouldn't like that guy. He was just a scumbag. I mean, he was really a bad guy, a bad guy. And I'm thinking, how could I be that? That's not me, but it was me. And so when Cahill asked me to go to Congress, I started thinking about this, and I'm thinking, well, maybe if I do this, I could look my son in the eye one day and say, hey, I tried, to do something good, and this was my way of doing something good, and so that's why I did it. That's how I went to Congress.
Wow.
Yeah, the rest is history.
So once you got out of jail and you decided to start writing your book, what was it like for you emotionally to dig back into all of that stuff?
It was very difficult. It was very, very difficult. A lot of memories that were not good memories. Uh,
Right.
and yeah, it took me a year to write it,
Yeah.
and man, it was just it was very hard, very emotional for me. But when I finished it, I was very happy. I was happy it was over.
Sure, I can imagine. Were there any memories that come to mind that hit harder than you expected them to?
Um, well, yeah, I mean there was quite a few. I mean, my family situation, um, the situation that happened with my house, with my family. I had a house that
Mm.
caught on fire, um, and my wife, who was still my wife, but her boyfriend at the time, who wound up committing suicide. It
Mm.
was very emotional, very bad, bad, bad part of my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty bad. Um, and then the whole wise guy thing, all the wise guys. Some of it was good, most of it was bad. Yeah, that
I
kind of
can imagine.
yeah.
Your whole story has an overarching theme of survival. Were there any times that got you out of a pickle?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think people would say back then, and everybody who was a somebody would say, "You know who I am," you know.
Yeah.
That always got me out of a pickle. You know, I'm Larry Formato. You know who I am? But yeah, yeah.
I mean,
That
it backfired. Did it ever backfire?
no, never.
No. Nope. You were pretty protected, weren't you?
I was, yeah. I mean, we were making a lot of money together, and our last deal. I mean, it would have been what would have set me free um, from any investigations with the government. Um, I was buying RCA records.
Mm.
I put up a $55 million non-refundable deposit to buy
Hmm.
them. And I knew that once I closed that deal, I was untouchable. You know,
Yeah.
the government didn't have the budget to fight me at that point if that deal went through.
Uh-huh.
So, that was, we want to talk about regrets. That was a regret. Um,
Yeah, I can imagine. And you were arrested right before that deal went through, right?
they,
Ironically enough.
the day before, they had to stop me. So they
Yeah.
stopped me the day before we closed that deal. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I was supposed to close the deal September 9th, 1986. They arrested me September 8th, 1986. And of course, they never let me out of jail. I didn't get bail. They denied my bail.
Sure.
They said I was a menace to society. I threatened to kill a government witness, and on and on. Whatever they could say, they said.
Of course, just to make sure to keep you behind bars.
Yeah, yeah, and they did. Almost
So,
5 years.
sorry.
Almost 5 years. But I mean, I had to fight for those 5 years because at first the judge started piling on all these years and years and years. Like there were days, he was just giving me all these
Hmm.
years. And I'm thinking, what the hell? And I spent a fortune on lawyers trying to get my sentence reduced because
Yeah.
it was an unfair sentence, and I wound up with 12 years, and then I fought again, and then I wound up with 6 years, and then I got paroled.
And then you got out after 5.
Yeah, right around 5, almost 5. Yeah, it was bad. And they took all my money. I lost all my money with RCA. The government took whatever else I had. And then the only money I was allowed to keep was the money that I was making legitimately in the music business. And I managed and owned a group by the name of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. And we were with Elektra Records at the time, and we were making some pretty good money. And that's how I survived doing those albums from jail and producing those albums and managing that group. That gave me enough money to pay my lawyers and keep going. I fought my way out.
Man. So can you paint us a picture of what it was like for you throughout your life of organized crime when you were at your peak?
Well, I mean, when I was at my peak was probably with Worldwide Ventures.
Mhm.
We were making crazy, stupid money. I probably had a net worth of maybe $80 million at the time,
Mhm.
and I was living at the Hermitage Hotel in Beverly Hills. I was back then. I think I was paying like probably $40,000 a week to live there.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I mean, I had a Rolls Royce, I had a plane, I had a limousine, I don't know how many cars, and you know, I had money that I didn't even know what to do with. I had stupid money. I didn't even know where to put it all. So yeah, I mean, I was at the top of my game, and everyone wanted to be around me. I had movie stars that wanted to know me and be around me, and it was an interesting time. A lot of guys: Burt Reynolds, Clint Eastwood, Brooke Shields, Don DeLuise. I mean, all these people wanted to know who Larry Formato was.
Hmm.
I had a partner, George the Greek Liveratus, and I used to send him out at nighttime, and he would go out with all these people and party with them. I never went out because I had to be up early in the morning when the market opened,
Yeah.
and I didn't care about going out with all these people, but everybody wanted to know who I was. And I was the money guy. I was the guy behind it all. And I was the guy with all the connections. I was the guy that had the wise guys. So yeah,
What an incredible experience.
yeah, it was something.
Can you share with us the Chill Can story?
Sure. Marshall Zob, who was a stock promoter um, and just a total outlaw. Uh,
Hmm.
and I didn't like him. I never liked Marshall Zob. In fact, I wanted to kill him. And my lawyer, Morton Berger, who was my SEC attorney for years, called me one day and said, listen, um, I got a guy that's got this deal. He needs help with it. And you're the only one I know that can really help him with it. I said, well, what is it? He said, it's this deal. It's laser arms, but they call it a chill can. And I said, well, who's behind it? He said, well, you're not going to like the guy. I said, well, all right. Well, who's behind it? He said, Marshall's up. I said, forget it. I'm not doing it. I said, where is he? Actually, I want to know where he is. And the whole reason I didn't like him, when I had my brokerage firm, Royal Securities, he came there one day and he walked out with a lot of my letterhead, and he was passing out letters to people out in Las Vegas that I was going to do a public offering for them, and he was getting $10,000 a letter from all these different firms. I've got all these people calling me saying, "Hey, when are you going to do my offering?"
Where's the IPO? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why I didn't like him. Anyway, Morty talks me into doing this deal for Marshall, and it was a lot of money for me. And so, listen, in my world back then, it didn't matter whether you liked somebody or you didn't like them, whether you hated them or you didn't hate them. If there was money, you get the money. And
Right. You set your differences aside to get the
that's
money.
that's
I think
exactly
that's probably still the case for organized crime all the way to the top today.
yeah. So I think that's the case for everything today, no matter
Yeah.
what it is.
I mean, I suppose you're probably right.
So I did this deal, and the officers were fake, directors were fake, and the can was fake. This can was supposed, when you pop it, it's supposed to chill in your hand. And
Mhm.
supposedly, they had to deal with Coca-Cola, and it was in the Wall Street Journal. He had take out these big ads in the Wall Street Journal, about the stock and the can, and all these little pictures of the can in the Wall Street Journal, drawings of it, and the stock was just going crazy. But it was fake. There was nothing to it. But I had the market makers. I had all the brokerage firms. So it was my guys that were supporting this market, this fake market. So the feds got a hold of this thing and knew it was a fake.
Hmm.
So they put a stop to it. They halted trading on the stock. A lot of the money was frozen, and Morty Berger said, "Listen, man, we got to get some of this money out of here somehow." And the lawyer, and I said, "Yeah, well, just tell us how to do it because all these accounts are frozen." So we came up with this scheme to have a can made, one that would work, and we're going to have a press conference in Windows of the World in the World Trade Center, top Windows of the World.
Hmm.
But we needed someone that was going to become the president, a real live human being, not somebody fake. And I had just a guy, George Liveratis, George the Greek. I knew George would do it, if we gave him some money. So I met George. I gave him 10,000 in cash. I said, "You're the new president. It's your company. Make it work. Do whatever you want to do with it. It's a public company. It's all yours. But you got to go to Windows of the World and you got to pop this can and show everyone that it works."
Yep.
We did it. I called Amos, who also was an inventor of a product that we used in Worldwide Ventures, called the Safety Scape, which is also in the book. And I said, "Amos, you got to make this can and it's got to work." He said, I know how to do it. I can do it. So I flew Amos into New York, and we had this big meeting at Windows of the World. And Marshall Zope and I were in the parking lot, in the car on a car phone back then. We had car phones then. Not very many people did, but we did.
Yep.
And we were on the phone talking to one of my guys who was up in the meeting, finding out what was going on. So the way this can worked that Amos made, are you familiar with Freon that they put into cars?
Yep.
Do you ever see one when they do it? That if it leaks out a little bit, it gets frozen,
Mhm.
like ice on the top of it, right? So Amos filled these cans with Freon, and that's how he did it. So when George pops this can in front of the FBI and the newspapers and the U.S. Attorney and everybody, this thing almost freezes right in his hand. He says, "See, look, it works, it works, it works." So, but they knew that was a scam, and the stock never ever traded again. And yeah, we all got indicted for that.
That was what took you down.
That's
It
what
was
took
the chill can that took you down.
all the deals I did in 13 years. It was the chill can that got me. Not my deal. It was somebody else's deal.
Wow. Blair, I would love to hear you read a piece from your book.
Oh, I just happen to have one here that I was looking at.
Awesome.
I think maybe you might like it. I don't know. It's um, it's from my congressional hearing, and it's with Congressman Ronaldo, who's from New Jersey, who I'm pretty sure was in the pocket of the wise guys. And but anyway, this is what Ronaldo has to say to me, and then you'll hear my answer.
Okay.
Ronaldo, you have not stigmatized an industry; you have indicted an entire industry. Yet the testimony that you gave in the criminal trial of Marshall Zope, according to materials that the subcommittee has received, had contradictory statements in it by yourself, and you yourself have admitted now that you engaged in various frauds. Obviously, over the years, you have lied repeatedly, time and time again. Is there any reason why we should believe anything you say? My answer to him was, no, you don't have to believe anything I say. I'm here because I want to be here. I'm not here because it's going to shorten the length of time that I stay in jail. I'm here because I have, over the years that I've been in jail, had the opportunity to think back, to recollect, to recall everything that I have done with my own personal life. I'm not here to wave a banner or a flag and say Larry Formato has redeemed himself. Larry Formato is a criminal. I know that. But I would like to be able to look my son in the eye someday and know that maybe, just maybe, I was able to do something to redeem myself a little bit.
Wow, thank you for that. What
That's
does redemption mean to you now, Larry?
actually, I'm glad you said that because I'm writing a new book called Redemption. And yeah, so redemption to me is changing my life, changing my ways, changing, how I did things in the past, the person that I didn't like at all. And it took me having to hear myself on those tapes to realize I was really a bad guy. And I'm happy with my life now.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear it. Did writing the book change the way you view your past?
No, I don't think it changed the way I view my past. I think that, as I said, it brought up a lot of emotion. Um,
Hmm.
and but yeah, no, I mean, the way I view my past, I was a guy that, in some ways people dream of having that life. I had, things that people dreamed of having: Rolls Royces, limousines, airplanes. I mean, I had the life,
Hmm.
mansions, people all around me wanting to be around me. But yeah, no, that wasn't me. I grew up a poor kid, and actually, if there's something that I could say that kind of was a good part of me through all of that, I never looked down on anyone, and I was more comfortable with the average person than I was with people with money. So, I liked being around normal people, what I call normal people. I liked going to a bar and shooting pool and, just having a good time and being around regular people, and, so that's the real me, and I'm kind of content now.
Sure.
Yeah.
What made you decide this was the time to tell your story?
Oh, this story's been around for, I don't know, 15 years probably. It took a long time coming, and the documentary that we just finished took a long time.
Hmm.
It wasn't an easy story to tell, but it's an interesting story, and I hope everyone will watch it. It's on YouTube. Dangerous Ways.
Yeah, I'll put the link in the notes.
Yeah, thank you. Uh, and don't forget, you got to look for my new book that's going to be coming out, Redemption.
Absolutely. I'll be on the lookout for that. Maybe we can circle back and have another conversation.
I hope so. Yeah, sure, for sure.
So, when you were putting all of the words on the pages, was there anything that was particularly difficult for you to be vulnerable about for you to write?
No, nothing, because I didn't really say anything that was indicting anyone.
Hmm.
I didn't really badmouth very many people, maybe a few, but they deserved it. But yeah, no, everything in the book is true. You know,
Yeah.
it happened. It all happened to me, and I had no hesitancy to talk about it.
What advice would you give to someone who's considering telling their own story of crime or trauma?
Do it carefully. Reflect before you start to do it, and take your time. Don't rush through it. And maybe share some of your chapters or pages with other people before
Mhm.
you actually commit to them. See what other people say about it if they
Mhm.
know you. But yeah, do it. I mean, everyone should.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's therapeutic, if nothing else,
Oh yeah.
right?
That made me a little crazy. No, yeah, it should. Yeah, I think it is. And I think once you come to realization of who you really are as a human being, then things really change for you.
Ah, oh, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. What was your publishing journey like? How did that go?
With self-publishing, I
Mm-hmm.
a company called White Collar Press, and we self-published our book and our first book, second book, and then Dangerous Ways was published through Spin Dad, which is my son's company.
Okay. Okay. So White Collar Publishing is your company?
Yeah,
Or, oh, okay. So you literally had your own publishing company.
yeah, yeah. Well, I've had several of them in the music industry, so
Okay.
pretty easy
Yeah, that made it a lot easier
for
for you.
me. Yeah,
I would
yeah.
imagine. Yeah. It's a place where most people are really challenged typically, especially when it comes to independent
Hard.
authors.
It is. It's difficult, and it's not an easy thing to do. And people write a book and they think they're going to go out and sell 1 million copies right away, but that's not the case. It takes a lot of promotion, a lot of publicity, and in some cases, coming on shows like yours.
Mhm. Well,
Okay.
and then even then, for most independent authors, this is not something that's going to make you rich. It's probably not even going to make you a living.
Well, it's not going to
Really,
make you the money I made back in the '70s and '80s. I could tell you.
definitely not.
Yeah,
I don't know of many things that are though, at least that are legal anyway.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Looking back, is there anything you wish you had known prior to your publishing process?
Uh, yeah, I think I wish I'd have known that it would have been easier. I mean, it was difficult. I
Hmm.
mean, it's still difficult. There's a lot of promotion involved. And if you're not willing to do the promotion, then, write the book for yourself and just read it to yourself.
Hmm. Well, and I think that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand. Even if you go with one of the big publishing companies, they still expect you to do a lot of the marketing and pushing yourself.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's why
Yeah.
they have all these book signings and tours
Yep.
and things like that. But I mean, they devote a ton of money to advertising.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, and you have to be willing to do that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's the one benefit is that you don't have to carry the marketing costs for it typically.
that's true. Yeah.
What do you hope readers will take away from your book?
Well, I think they're going to take away some excitement, some danger. Uh, like, how did this guy do all of this? This is like the craziest story I've ever heard, and it's all true. And the reason they can know that it's all true is, as I said earlier, in the back of the book is my testimony from the Library of Congress, word for word. And and that backs up everything that's in my book. So yeah, I want them to take away that this is a true life story of one man, and there's been many after me, but I was the first one who introduced organized crime into the penny stock market. There's been guys after me, this Wolf of Wall Street guy who I don't like,
Mm.
and you know he took my playbook and ran with it. I was in jail when he started running with it, and had I been out of jail, if I was not in jail and he was trying to do that, he would have been coming to see me every week to pay me. And he knows that, and I know that. And so there was a lot of Johnny come latelys, and he just happened to be one of them.
Sure. Wow. Well, where can people find it and be on the lookout for your new one, Redemption?
So my website is dangerousways.net,
Okay.
and also you can find my book on Amazon and other outlets, and you can also um, see my documentary on YouTube.
YouTube. Okay. Like I said, I'll post the link in there and I'm going to actually watch that tonight. I'm excited to watch. I think when we spoke on the phone not too long ago, it wasn't released yet. So,
No, it wasn't. So we just got it up on YouTube. Yeah.
I'm super excited. I
Yeah.
can't wait.
Yep.
Larry, what an absolutely fascinating story. From the way you fell into it to the way that it fell, I honestly you're right. If it weren't for the congressional testimony, I would have a hard time believing it. It's so action packed. There's so much within your memoir. I really hope people pick it up and give it a read.
Well, thank you very much. I hope they do too. And again, they can buy the book, it's the audio book, the ebook, and the
Yep.
paperback on dangerousways.net.
Okay.
It's available there.
So you do offer it in audio.
I do. Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Ooh, good to know. I didn't know that either. Yeah, the
Okay.
website looks great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your beautiful, sunny Florida day to come and talk to me.
No, you're quite welcome, and I'm glad you
And
have me. Thank you very much.
absolutely, I'm sure our paths will cross again soon. I'll be on the lookout
So,
for that new book.
okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
All right. Bye now.
Bye-bye. That's it for today's episode of For Love of Memoir. Thanks for listening. If something in this conversation moved you, I'd be so grateful if you'd follow the show, leave a comment, or share it with someone you care about. Those small actions tell the algorithm that our content matters so we can reach more memoir lovers like you. It's a free and simple way to support the show and the authors we feature. You can find links to today's guest and their book in the show notes. Until next time, take care and keep writing your story.